let's look big picture. This is year 8 for Kyle Shanahan. A lot of times coaches get tuned out already if they haven't won a Super Bowl. This guy's just coming off his second Super Bowl loss. The team is not cohesive right now. They just lost to the Cardinals. Are we witnessing the death throes of the Shanahan era?
Okay. This is a big topic. So I want not to be crazy or nuts. I want to start in the shallow water and get into the deeper water. There's something wrong with the team. If they beat Seattle, they're in first place. So they're not dead. They have a really good quarterback who's not playing well. Running all around like that is not his game. They have an offense which only scored 16 against the poor, terrible Cardinals. And their defense, especially late in the game, is unprepared. That's a lot that's wrong through 5 games. So you would have to say, at the very least, the coach is not getting through, or the coach has nothing to offer to get through. I've been around a lot of teams that go sour, and I'm using sour. Teams that are very good. I've had it with the Warriors and the Giants and the A's and the Raiders and the Niners. All of a sudden, they're just not good anymore.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put your finger on it, but and you can feel it. You can feel the death in the locker room. You can feel the death at the end of games. And I'm stating this as a hypothesis, meaning I don't know, I'm not there, but I'm concerned that it's over with for them. I'm concerned that Shanahan has run his course, that the players are not listening to him, that they've tuned him out, and that certain players don't like him and respect him. I'm concerned that certain players don't like him and respect him. Yes.
Dad, when Brandon Ayuk wore the red shorts to practice and then argued about taking them off and then took them off the way he did, was that not a big FU to Kyle?
It was, absolutely. There's no other way to interpret it.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
An intentional FU.
And needless, didn't have to do it. And it showed he felt free to say, screw you, to the head coach in front of the whole team and the media. And he knew that it would be picked up. You picked it up and go viral nationally. He knew he didn't give a damn. So he may play hard for himself sometimes. He's a great player. He had a great game the other day, but his attitude is terrible. And if there are other players like that on the team, if it's not just him, that's very bad. I'm not in that locker room, but I feel the team has gone sour. It's like milk that goes sour.
Or players could look at how Ayuk is acting and how he gets to be the second highest paid player on the team anyway and be like, wow, they just coddle this baby who acts out and treats the coach with utter disrespect. I'm over here trying to be a professional and no one notices. Not valued.
Right. In addition, Iggy, there may be 2 teams on the 49ers.
Yeah.
There may be like in 1984, I'm sorry, Animal Farm, that great novel by George Orwell, this term, some are more equal than others. And I have a feeling that on the Niners, some are more equal than others. And I'll tell you the more equal. The more equal are that horrible fullback, the great tight end, the running back, the left tackle, maybe Ayuk. Others, like some of the defensive backs, Ward, Diamado Lenore, these are wonderful players, and they're really, really play hard, and they really have a good secondary. I think, again, I've never met these people. I wonder if I were to talk to them and we would talk off the record and I'd say, do you think there's 2 teams? And do you think on the team that some are less equal than others and you're on the less equal team? I wonder if that's going on. And if that is, it's hard to get them to play hard for you. And they're probably thinking that they're getting a raw deal from the general manager, from ownership, and the coach. So I'm wondering, again, I'm not asserting, I'm wondering if, first of all, I do feel there's a sour taste to that. I can taste it, but I wonder if my two-team theory is, possibly correct or just ridiculous. I
wonder
give it
how
out there.
I wonder how the locker room responded to Eric Armstead getting cut. I mean, he was the longest tenured player on the team. He was a Walter Payton Man of the Year finalist. He was a captain. There were a lot of players who seemed to look up to him. He gave life advice to some of these guys, and he has those charitable organizations in Sacramento. They humiliated him this offseason. They're like, we know that you're probably worth $17 million a year. We'd like to pay you $6 million. What do you think? And he went and got $17 million a year from Jacksonville. And I think it was clear at that moment that he was not in, he was out. And that there are, guys like the fullback who maybe they have to take a pay cut sometimes, but they're essentially in. The fullback has made $38 million in his tenure with the Niners going in motion. But you could be a Pro Bowl cornerback or a Pro Bowl safety and not get any type of special consideration. That's the two teams.
I mean, I don't like Armstead personally, but I understand what he means to some players in that locker room. And he essentially got dismissed and humiliated. It must have hurt some of them very much. So, and didn't in the preseason somebody say there was
Juwan
one
Jennings.
player?
Yeah, he was talking at his locker, and someone was asking about, I think it was like the day that Brandon Ayuk got signed, and someone said, how great is it to have Trent and Ayuk back? And he's like, yeah, we got our guys back. We're just missing one guy, but I'm not going to talk about that. He's talking about Eric Armstead.
And it means it's on his mind.
Yeah.
And if it's on his mind, it's on other people's minds.
Yeah.
So I just feel that the Niners are in the process of lousing up a good thing, Iggy. Now, again, if they beat Seattle, and we'll get to that later, they can make it all right. And then people, when you win, you feel better about each other. But as of today, I don't like how it is. You're smiling. What's going on?
They remind me of like a rock group from the 60s that gets really famous, and then everyone in the group wants to go solo. Yeah. Because they're all the star, and like each one needs to get the recognition that it was all about them. It kind of feels like the Niners right now. Like Ayuk needs his solo. He needs his saxophone solo, and then Kittle needs to have his solo halfway through the song. It's incredible how many egos are on one team.
It even happened with the Beatles and the Stones.
Yeah,
that very thing happened with the Beatles and the Stones.
Because the Niners are a group of like little celebrity football players. I mean, they have a lot of famous guys. They've had the same stars on the team for a long time. They've all gotten more and more rich and more money, and now it just seems like, I don't know. Are they all going solo now? It's hard to say.
Hey, Iggy, I watched that last night, that Kansas City game. They didn't have that many stars. They had the quarterback and the tight end, but they had this wide receiver, what's his name? Juju Smith-Schuster.
They got him off the street.
And they got the other one, number 29.
Kareem Hunt.
He was hanging around.
He was at the bus station.
Cleveland. He was at the bus station, and both of them had great games. Mm-hmm. They wanted to play. They were all in, and they're not stars. They played like stars.
Yeah, you give Andy Reid. You give Andy Reid, a 35-year-old future Hall of Fame tight end, a first-round pick at wide receiver, and a bunch of guys off the practice squad. You'll see guys wide open all night. But with Kyle Shanahan, you could give him a $30 million wide receiver, a $24 million wide receiver, a $15 million a year tight end, a $5 million a year fullback, a $7 million a year slot receiver. And if he doesn't have Christian McCaffrey, all bets are off. He might just score 16 points.
Hey, Iggy, what if you gave Andy Reid the Niners?
I'm thinking they'd win the Super Bowl. If Kyle Shanahan were the head coach of the Chiefs and Andy Reid were the head coach of the Niners, who would have won that Super Bowl?
Right. Also, if they changed teams currently, they would change identities. The Niners would be a team that played 60 minutes and won because Andy's coaching them, and the Chiefs would lose it in the last 2 minutes. They'd blow a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter.
I love this. If Kyle Shanahan were the head coach of the Chiefs, would Patrick Mahomes be better or worse?
He would tell Patrick, you can't do this thing because it's not my system.
Yeah.
And Patrick would go and like, it's not in my system. You're a good quarterback. It's not how we do things in our system.